Well, hey, Gundamaniacs, welcome to another episode of Gundam Explained. In this episode, we're going to be taking a look at the high-grade Zagok from Seed Freedom, as well as the option parts set for the Cavalere Aphrid. We'll take a look at them, their features, but yeah, this is a pretty cool, unique design, something that's very interesting, so yeah, let's dive in. And before we dive in, here's kind of a look at it all put together, what the end result is when you're combining the things together as they're shown in the Seed Freedom movie, but we'll take it apart and look at it piece by piece. All right, and here we go. Here's a look at the Zagok. For this, I just did, the basic build, did some panel lining, not too much. For instance, like some areas here, I just used the gray. I didn't want to use black and make it too dark. And again, there's some other areas where you see it, but I wanted to make it light and not super dark because I kind of like a light sort of look. And real fast for comparison, here's the Robot Spirit Zagok, which, yeah, it's more anime accurate. I mean, obviously very anime. And while this is too, it's more of the updated designs. This kind of takes on what the limitations of animation was back in the day. So this update is pretty nice. And kind of running down here with the different features and articulation, with how the build is for something unique like this, it's like sectional, right? Not only the arms, but even the abdomen. It seems to all work. I like that there's room for the articulation there for that to move in. And, the head doesn't have much articulation. This moves a little bit. This actually comes off, and I'll show that here in a second. We have the arms here, which, has an area to move in there, and then also, even though it has these multiple sections here, which I think just allows it to just move a little freely, but it's not fully articulated. That's reserved for this area in the elbow down here that moves in. So while there's a little bit of give on these parts of the arm, the real articulation is in the elbow, but you can still get a lot of good range here, as you can see. All right, and then, we do get a swivel, so Jobby would be proud. We have the side armor, front skirts. They move just a bit. The back, it's not much, actually. It's just the front and the sides, and it's just a little bit, and I guess enough to get movement or range, like you can see with the legs here. Do they need to move that much? I don't know, but they do. And here you go with the knee articulation. I mean, really, this is, unconventional, mainly, I guess, for me when it comes to building my giant robots. But this actually has the range you need to do goofy little things. Yeah, I didn't even look at the feet yet. I mean, just because of how unique of a design this is, it does get that dynamic pose that you want to get out of it. So that's really cool. Okay, the back here, pretty neat, has its own little articulation there. I guess something that's not necessarily needed. I mean, maybe it's supposed to look like that, and pushed in is for, the other parts we'll look at here in a second. All right, and the build itself was fun, easy, very quick to do. I've built the high-grade Universal Century version of it, and it's kind of the same thing. And so, again, what I did was just some light panel lining, gray or black, and then the top coat. I did a matte top coat, and I think that all worked out. It looks good. All right, there are a few gimmicks that this thing has, so let's look at that. So we've got its flight backpack here, which is really cool. I kind of gush about ships and all that within Gundam and all that, but this looks cool. I mean, it looks nearly like an X-Wing, which that might have even been what they were trying to go for here. You have like kind of the gray and red with the dark colors. It's just cool to see. And then the sort of like beam blade thing that goes on, I think, with the Aphrid suits, like the Justice, he has that like on the legs and all that, if I remember correctly. So that's kind of in line with that. But it's just cool to get a ship that looks like this, and it attaches to the back. There's also attachment points here for that, and actually, when talking about the little beam effect here, it's really nice how it works. It's like what we'd get in Robot Spirits, right? The beam effect parts, and actually has an area here that you can plug it in, which, yeah, makes that, well, if you get it in, yeah, pretty easy, pretty nice. So yeah, let's plug this into the back. You'll see there's actually a connector piece here if you want to put this on a stand, which totally makes sense. But yeah, you kind of fold this back and it exposes these connector points. So then you would plug it on the back here. Here's the connector parts there. And it plugs in pretty nicely and evenly, but be careful, make sure even if it seems odd trying to get it in and out, like the friction, try not to lean it one way or the other. It was very easy to see some white stressing come out from that side from barely moving it. And that's not the only thing that broke, so I'll get to that here shortly. But yeah, and then you've got ways you can articulate this thing. And I know it does specific things in the Seed Freedom movie. I've watched it a few times. This might not be accurate, but I just love how this looks. I mean, a Zagok with an X-wing on its back and a unicorn horn. I mean, this is great. And so what's very unique about this release compared to other kits in general, especially on the high grade line, is its kind of gimmick and effect parts, which you would normally get from Robot Spirit. So, for instance, the claws here look great. And, in the package, I saw the orange one, and I was like, so you got to like replace it. And no, they actually made an entire hand piece that you can simply pull off here, like so. And just with this simple connector, great connector, by the way, lots of friction, doesn't feel like it's going to fall off, but it's easy to do. You have the alternate hand on, and I love this. I love this aspect because already between the backpack and the hands, we're seeing where the gimmicks and effect parts just add more to it, add what's going on in the movie. But that's not all. There's another cool gimmick, and that happens to do with the head here. So, and actually let me take off the backpack just so we can get a good look. So with this head part right here, that's what's really cool is you can take this top part off. And there's a couple things that can happen. One, look, we're seeing this Justice head in there. But also has the mono eye here that is actually on an articulated piece here, which, yeah, just pulling off the top of the head makes it easy so you can move this around. And it is a see-through, transparent, like pink plastic. I'm already seeing a lot of possibilities here, especially, when it comes to LEDs. Yeah, you could definitely mess around with this. But with this removed, there's also another part you can use, and that is this. This is like the damaged version that actually shows up in Seed Freedom. So again, cool that they're adding these extra pieces to it. So a couple things you had to do was on the top of the head here, you can actually see very clearly, and I didn't finish it up. You see the gray pieces on here? That is part of another piece that you plug in. It adds the gray. It wasn't like that on this one. All right, and then when you take that off, you would just, put it on top. And we'll do that here in a second. I'm going to show you something. There is, the Justice that's in there already. And to take it out, you would actually have to take apart the mobile suit here, which then you'd be like, well, and I should say take apart the kit, not the mobile suit, but take the kit apart to get to this. Because what's actually in here is from this, the Infinite Justice Type 2. This is one I'm currently building right now. I wanted to build the abdomen to compare it to the one inside the model. All right, so even though you do get the option to put the Infinite Justice Type 2 full release abdomen in the Zagok, since you're already putting this together, you might as well go with the one that's in there. It's less detailed, but you're not going to see the detail. It really has to do with the chest piece on it. So while it's cool that they offer that ability, it almost seems pointless because it already comes with one. So, but anyway, yeah, popping this on and it goes on pretty easily. And then from there, if you can get a good look right in there at the Justice kind of peering through. I mean, it doesn't look as cool as it does in the anime, but at least that's there. All right, and a quick look at the manual just in case we can find something that I completely missed. See, and there you go with the chest piece or abdomen Justice piece it comes with, and how you have to put a bunch of it together. That's what I'm saying. It probably doesn't make sense. Yeah, it even shows right here how you can use either one in there. The one that it comes with, it even shows like a difference with the chest, one being white, one being dark. Yeah, might as well use the one it comes with. One thing of note as I go through this is I realize that this is like turning a page instead of like the fold out, which I kind of appreciate that. And real quick, as you can see with when you're putting those separate disc-like pieces on the arm, even though they're individual and that kind of gives them a little bit of movement, they're not like individually articulated parts of the arm. Like you might think, and I think other high grades have done that maybe. All right, it even talks about using a stand that's not included for the ship backpack part, which actually comes with the option parts that we're going to be looking at here right now, I think. Or real quick, we'll look at the back here so you can kind of see, what they're trying to pull off here. I think some of my shots did a pretty good job of that. Okay, and now for the exciting piece here, that's very interesting when it comes to building model kits, Gunpla, all that, and that's this Cavalere Aphrid, however you'd want to talk about it, or I guess call it, whatever. Is it a mobile armor? Is it a... Yeah, I think it is, actually. Again, this is in Seed Freedom. Looks pretty interesting. We saw it as it was attached with the Zagok, but there's multiple things... Yeah, that just came off. Well, that's something. This didn't happen before, but this no longer has the friction to keep it in place, so I have to do a little modification. All right, I just put some blue tack there for now, but this is an example of it doesn't matter how many different people are building a kit. Everyone can have their own unique experience. Just enough of the friction. This is just a friction attachment. Just enough of the plastic or whatever was eroded just enough for it to fall apart. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. Other than that, this was actually a fun build. It had large pieces, so you can see like this is all one piece. The wings are all one piece. It had a lot of like single pieces, so it made this a quick build. The main functionality down here is this contraption here that's actually articulated. If I can move it around, yeah, it's you can even hear it. And then this articulates as well the area that will then attach to whatever mobile suit. There's different attachment points here. The one that's on is for the Zagok, but it also has it for like the Strike, the Justice. But as for other articulation, these guns here move forward, and they're actually on a hinge as well, so they can move around. A lot of good movement there. Same with the wings here. They move however you want them to. And then, you know, we saw with the missile launchers, where it opens up, and I actually painted that in there. I just used red Gundam marker and then black ink around it. And this is one of those where I could have took my time with it, but I actually did it quick, and you can't tell it's sloppy. Okay, there's a little bit of red right there that I probably need to clean. It had the large, the stickers that are normally with perfect grades because they're really thick, reflective, look nice. I covered them with blue tack when I did a matte top coat. So if you can't tell, this has a matte top coat on it. And I did some light panel lining. Again, I did some panel lining here and on the gun here, but I didn't want to do too much, really. I want to give it more of an action figure look than a model kit is finished look. And so even here on the front and the back, it does require red, if you want to make it accurate, red with black in the middle. And up close, it looks horrible, but it looks like on camera, and now you can kind of see here where it's not as even, or it's just not that noticeable, but yeah, on camera it is. And then, yeah, even up here, these little vents are supposed to be darkened, so I added some ink there. And then finally, the back, using some of the Ray Studios thruster chrome markers, what I did was, yeah, kind of chromed out or whatever, the outer portion. And then on the inside, I did it based on what material's out there, but I put red on the inside and then another darker further in. Just to kind of give this the overall look it needs, where it's not, you know, there's not too much I did really to customize it, but I just made it look as accurate as possible. That top coat just gives it more of that high-end look, so that's cool. Okay, and a couple things. It also came with, again, this is an option part set, even though it has the Cavalere Aphrid, whatever it's called. It also came with this stand, which is really cool. This stand is excellent for, I guess, yeah, what I was talking about, that ship from before that you could plug in. I would not use this stand for the Cavalere Aphrid or even a model kit. Something maybe as light as this, or if you use the hooks and maybe for an action figure, it's actually a good stand, but not what I would use for any of this. In fact, that gets to what broke. So what I've been using is, and what's required is a connector piece that's this thin to go into the Cavalere Aphrid, right? And there's multiple connection points. There's one in the back here. There's one in there. What I've been doing is having one in the back, and let me show you my contraption for that, is to have, and I don't even like this setup as much. One in the back, one in the front. The way it's set up, though, I have to angle it weird. This is actually for the Zagok or whatever model kit, because you need that structural integrity. You need the two arms for having two model kits in. Now, I had used this, but the top part of this connector piece that was made to go in here just broke off in there. Just because of the weight distribution. If you're going to have this and the Zagok, you need clearance underneath, and that clearance just causes just enough sway where if you're not careful, you could easily snap this piece off, especially, again, going back to that friction we were talking about. I have multiple ones of these pieces here. One, the friction was in so tight that the slight sway broke it off, and I had to pull out the part that broke in there. It maybe not everyone has that same issue, but I would say be careful. The weight distribution and the clearance that's required above the ground with this, with the Zagok, does require more sturdier stand. And to kind of show off how that works, this part doesn't really move. It would be, I guess it moves in, but it'd be so much, I like that actually. I did not even think of doing that. I just wish it would go out just a little more, even if there was some give, because as we see on the back here, there's the two connector points. And then on this that we're about to plug in are two connector points. So let's get those. Actually, let me get the arms in a good spot where they're kind of like brought in. And again, there's not complete articulation on the arms where that's the spot is there. So they are going to be, unless I can mess with it in some way, they are going to be pulled away from the chest, from the body. Okay, I am able to move it in a bit more. I wonder if I can work it just a little bit. Okay, that seems to be okay for now. So yeah, let's plug this in. So yeah, get these to attach. All right, there we go with the horn kind of sticking or kind of touching right up on there. Okay, let me kind of get this. Okay, there we go. So you can get an idea of how it looks, which I think this is cool. This is a neat, fun little gimmick of part of the movie, and then what they made into a model kit. Was not expecting that. So let's plug this in. All right, so let's see if I got that. Got the two arms up there. I guess depending on the weight, the legs just kind of drop down sometimes. And this could be a matter of, so look, I move the body up, and I guess at this angle you're not going to tell, but it will start dropping down. Basically, what I'm getting at here is you're going to have to work with the Cavalere Aphrid with a model kit inside in order to safely get it, positioned correctly to look good, but also not fall apart all the time. So it's kind of hard to see it here. We'll get some other shots of it. And I want to say, just with the included stands, it's not going to work. You're going to want to get some other stands that are very sturdy, and you want to play with it because you want to get that weight distribution down. You don't want, because one part has to plug into the Cavalere Aphrid and one has to help distribute, I guess, either on the model kit or maybe another part. But because of that clearance and that sway, it's possible that you can get a break happen easily. So just be careful with that. So that option part set with the Cavalere Aphrid came with a lot of other things. For instance, other attachments for underneath to have other mobile suits that you can use attached down there. You even came with this gun that is from Seed Freedom. In fact, I think the Robot Spirits, the Metal Robot Spirits has this. And I guess this is so you can attach it to the Mighty Strike Freedom, although it would probably be used by anything else. In fact, I haven't built the high grade yet, standard release, but I do have the high grade special edition version, so we can actually look at how that's supposed to work. So you do get a connector piece, and it's actually very similar to what the Robot Spirit version looks like. And so yeah, on the side of the Mighty Strike Freedom or Strike or whatever that has that connector, you can then put this on here. Again, very similar to the Robot Spirits one, so they're kind of in line. And then I guess you could, plug this in like so, I guess. I mean, that's huge. And I guess maybe you could go on the other side so then it's going the other way. Okay, so then maybe that, I don't know. That's huge, but that's pretty cool too. Yeah, I think because we're seeing almost the guts of this connector piece in here, it is probably supposed to go on this side for sure. I mean, hey, it works. You could even have, I could take off the beam saber here to put the other gun in this hand and then the other gun here, and I could still have the strike decked out with everything. But also, depending on who you're going to connect that gun to, there are a series of these little connectors that are easy to lose that you can connect to the gun, connect to other, probably within the Seed Freedom line, maybe things outside of that. So there we have it. That was a little look at the Zagok model kit from Seed Freedom. and the Cavalere Aphrid from Seed Freedom, and the fact that they combine, have a whole bunch of fun gimmicks. These were fun and easy builds, and it doesn't really take much to give it that premium feel by, adding a little bit of color or paint in some areas, doing a top coat. This was a lot of fun. This is out of the norm for me when I'm building model kits, so I really enjoyed this. Looking forward to some other Freedom kits that are out there. But anyway, let me know what you think. Have you built this set? Do you plan to? Isn't it kind of bizarre but cool at the same time? Yeah, let me know what you think. And also, shout out to Art Rovo Gundam, sponsor of this channel and video. Check the link in the description for Art Rovo Gundam. Buy from their support the store, especially in these times. But also shout out to the supporters that make this possible. Links in the description for ways that you can support the channel, or links to certain supporter tiers so you can see other people that are supporting Gundam Explained, what they're up to. But I guess that's it for now. Until next time, be cool.